Thus retarded by my sex and timorous nature, I determined to leave behind a life of scrapping for scraps, and set out alone, unimpeded by my social handicaps, to live a life of true authenticity, contemplation, and adventure. In short, I cast off from the moorings of social mores and hitched my fortunes to the peculiar wanderings of the Motey. I was resolved to take with me only such necessities as I could carry easily, abstaining from all frivolous comforts in favor of those bare essentials required to sustain life. It would embarrass me to list all of the objects unto which I stupidly conferred the title of essential. I prefer to tell you instead that the full list of my current possessions is this: a water bottle, a small knife, and the scroll into which I am now recording by means of sorcery each word you now read. In my first weeks of travels, even the most hapless assassin could have tracked me down by following the trail of essential items discarded along the way. Discarded, I should admit, not out of some circumspect insight, but out of frustration at carting around so many utterly dispensable amenities. I began my travels at the only spot at which I could be certain to find Motey, the gate at Locret's Dans. Fortune was with me. As I approached the gate, I spied a Motey ambling away on such a trajectory I was certain it was outward bound. I hitched up my overstuffed pack and did my utmost to project the impression that I was a man on a mission. Such projections are, of necessity, ticklish beasts, as one finds oneself strutting at a toddler's uninspired pace. The Motey's sluggardly steps I was to find tick along at a perfectly consistent rate. Surely I was aware of the Motey's reputation for just this level of ambulatory precision before setting out on this journey? Yes, of course, but there is a difference between knowing something, as told to you by another, and knowing something for oneself. One might be told, for example, of the vastness of the sea. Yes, one nods, thinking the situation understood, a large body of water, until one actually arrives at the shore and experiences the sea, at which point one is suddenly fully conscious of the sea's expanse and moved by it. Should one be asked after seeing the sea to describe it, one can only repeat that the sea is vast, imparting no more understanding than one had received prior to that personal experience. Thus it was that I found that once a Motey sets off on a journey, those first few steps set absolutely their pace. Nod your head in understanding, but if you have not likewise followed a Motey from start of journey to end, I can only shake mine, aware that your understanding is theoretical at best. So it was that at first I struggled to hobble myself to the same rate of movement. Eventually I tired, rested, found myself rushing to catch up, and any distraction would thus test my ability to simply keep an eye on my Providence-chosen leader. The need to eat, drink, excrete, bathe, and, of course, sleep meant that I sometimes lost track of my Motey and had to spend time searching it out. These troubles were solved by the simple expedients of tracing an arrow in the dirt, or otherwise setting for myself a marker in wood or stone to indicate the direction of my Motey's travel. The Motey do indeed move in very nearly as direct a path as one might choose to imagine. Certain obstacles do shift their line of travel, like a ball sent rolling over mounds on its way down a hill. Over time, I became familiar with the sort of obstacle likely to thus function as a point of deflection, and was able to accordingly adjust. Not that a Motey will not walk right over a towering mountain range, it will, but the key word in this sentence is walk. A Motey does not climb, swim, skip, leap, or slide, it walks. Occasionally along the bottom of a lake or river, mind you, but walking at the very same pace the entire way. I can assure you that as frustrating as it can be to try to follow a Motey across extremely difficult terrain, which it covers without a sign of difficulty, it is, in fact, far more vexing to lope easily down a lovely meadow and know the Motey will take an hour to cover the ground. The Motey knows exactly where it is going, and exactly how much time to take on the journey. It sets a pace with that first step, and follows it across whatever may cross its path, only to arrive at precisely the event it set out to witness. Any extreme show of magical power will attract one or two Motei. In addition, certain phenomena we have labeled natural will attract Motei, leading me to question whether these forces of nature are in fact forces of magic. I speak of severe lightning strikes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tidal waves. Motei have been seen striding through massive infernos, but I cannot tell you with certainty if the Motei were passing through on their way to some other event, or had set out precisely to be in the middle of a blaze. Having this information laid out plainly before you, it is possible you have already hurtled to the elation that one simply cannot allow the Motei to get away with this. It took me 3 times following the Motei until I resolved to try my hand at sabotage. Surely one could frustrate a Motei, I reasoned. One might dig a pit in the line of a Motei's travels, or set up some sort of barrier, or simply give one a shove at the edge of a cliff. It frightens me more than I can say to provide you with the information that no attempt at sabotage can possibly work. I tried everything, yes, everything, to no avail. Yes, my friends, this modest travelogue comes to you with a message of horror. The future is knowable and unchangeable, at least so far as the Motei are concerned.